So I am just finishing up this cute little doll that's just a super tiny Fae. She's only, gosh, I'd say about 5 inches maybe. She's got her feet done, and now she just needs some hands, and then she'll be finished. So I thought I would show you some tips on making fairy hands. Alright, the first tip is that I like to make 2 hands at once. And so this is the first hand I've been working on, and then this is the second one. And you can see I just usually grab a little ball of clay and then roll it into a tube. And so then I have these 2 funky looking arms, but that's what I start out with. And then for the size of the doll, I just measure from her chin to up around her eyebrows. For a tiny hand like this, I just go ahead and have the thumb be part of it. And so I don't add on extra clay. I just kind of squeeze this clay in the first place in a pointed shape at the top so I can just cut this bottom part. When you first cut it, it's going to have this rough edge, but then what you do is you just keep twisting it forward, twisting it back, and squeeze. So twist, squeeze, and then pretty soon it's all rounded out and you don't have that rough edge anymore. And then you just shorten it as needed. We'll be going a lot shorter than this. But that's how you do the cut for the thumb. And then I'm going to be measuring up to my other hand to make sure we've got the same size, and then just cut in for the rest of the fingertips. A really nice tool for cutting in the fingertips is this flat metal tool. And the one end is flat, and it's like a little knife except it has smooth edges. So this way you can kind of round the fingers a little bit as you decide where you want them to be. And on some of the fingers I veer out a bit, so it'll actually be a little wedge that we'll be cutting out. So right here, I'm just pressing gently all the way through, and then I'll have this little wedge of clay that I can just pull right out of there. And then I have one more finger to do here. So it all just really depends on the shape you have for your hand in the first place, what kind of shapes you'll be pulling out here. But then you just go through and cut each one with an X-Acto knife. And these are crazy long right now. And then you just go through and do that twist and squeeze to each finger. You can say they look kind of funny at first, but they clean up pretty quickly. Then at first you'll have your fingers kind of flayed apart a bit so you can get to the inside, and you can just take your wooden tool or even the other side of your flat metal tool, the spoon side, and just go in between and just kind of press those bits of clay back in to normal finger shape. Okay, and then I just kind of cut the tops off of those fingers with my fingernails just by giving it a squeeze. And then also when you do the thumb the way I did, you need to kind of shift it forward. So it's going to be where it's supposed to. This one turned out a little bit funky, but that's good because then it's easier to teach you. Alright, so right here, what we need to do to correct this is just kind of push this back and let it be a wrist area. And then the thumb is looking funky because it's way too big. Okay, then we just go in here and clean up that little crease a bit. Then you want to squeeze the thumb like that and just kind of cut off the tip. But to give it a bit more of a thumb shape, you just squeeze. Pretty easy. So now we just need to give these fingers some love and care. Just go in from both sides, kind of roll your tool around. Alright, so now I have my two hands together again, and then I just kind of see if I've gotten the fingers the same length, and if they're the same thickness. Like this middle finger is a little bit too thick, so I'm just going to pull up on this and kind of twist it a little bit, and then trim it down so it's the right width. And then anyway, as I switch from hand to hand, the hand that I'm not working on has a chance to let the clay harden up a bit, and then they're actually easier to work on. So I work on this one for a little bit, this one kind of hardens up, then I come back to it, and then it's easier to squeeze and adjust. And then I have the fingers be about to this state, with the exception of these a little bit more correct. And then I just put the hand on the doll like this, that way my fine details don't get squished in the process. I just wait and do more of the detailing once the hands are on the doll. Now I'm just getting this hand in place. I'll scoot it onto the arm, and then one of the reasons this flat metal tool is so handy is this side can go right down in here, right into this little crack, and so I can help this clay on the arm just kind of go where it needs to be. And then when I'm done doing that, I can just cut away any of the extra, like that. So it's nice to have a tool that will fit right into these little creases. So for the fingers, I like to use some tweezers, and I have two kinds of tweezers. This kind is kind of bent and super tiny, and they are great for helping to place eyelashes. But for doing fingers, I have these silver tweezers. They're just really simple, and they're perfect because it's nice. They're flat on the inside, and so you could just kind of squeeze those fingers and kind of help thin them out just a little bit once you get them into the shape you want. There, she's looking so much better with her hands and feet on. One last little tip I have for you is that when you do the hands, try to put off adding the fingernails as long as you can, because once you add the fingernails, it's like your eyes try to just go, oh, it's a hand, and it's harder to see the things that are wrong with it. Like this hand had kind of fat fingers for a little bit, and if I don't have those fingernails on, it's easier to just see that the shape wasn't ready yet, but now it is, and so now I can add the little fingernails at the end there. And then when you add the fingernails, I usually do it with a little rubber tip tool, and when I do it, I support behind the fingernails and then draw it in with this tip. And then as you draw it, it's going to kind of flatten out the tip a little bit. And so just be sure to kind of pinch it on the sides again to make it narrow. So there we go. Those are some tips for you on making hands. And I hope you enjoy making a fun little fairy like this.